All right, today's Friday, September 13th. It's Friday the 13th, and I've been wrestling with these rear disc brakes. This is the same setup that's on the 64, and man, I had a lot harder time this time for some reason. For one, this is the CPP kit. I mean, it came in CPP boxes. On the 64, I'm not sure that it's a CPP. I think it's maybe a generic. But I mean, they use all the same calipers. The brackets might be a little bit different on eBay, but generally you end up with the same result. Bleeder screw on top, caliper towards the rear of the car, and multiple spacers. So I put new bearing seals and new little paper gaskets in here. Didn't change out the bearings. They seemed fine. Not a lot of slack in them. So similar to the 64, the process is you got this spacer that goes on the outside of the flange. You got 3 spacers right here, 1, 2, and then 1 under here. And this is a hardware that comes, or a bolt nut that comes with the kit, 1, 2, 3. You reuse one square one. I don't know why they don't supply a 4th bolt, but you reuse one of your originals. Or you can replace it with I think it's a 3/8 24 thread. Probably 1 inch. You bolt that bracket on first, and then you bolt the caliper bracket on here, and it comes with these little generic shims. They look like lock washers, but they're not. Plus I had to use two flat washers on each bolt. I don't know why they don't supply enough shims to do this job, but man, I struggled with it, and the only way I can get it to mount was to push the piston back in the caliper with a C-clamp, and then use extra washers. So I had to run to the hardware store, get extra washers. I hate having to do that in the middle of something. This took 2 days, one day on this side, today on the other side. And that's pretty much it. It uses these nylon washers, which if you use your impact enough, off and on test fitting, you're going to strip the bolt. I did that. I don't know why, but it did. So rear brakes are done. Tomorrow I'm going to have to grind these down to fit 14-inch wheels because they're made for 15-inch wheels. Same thing on this side. So just to recap, spacer goes on the axle flange on the outside. These little spacers here go on these bolts to push this bracket back. 2 flat washers plus the split washer or split spacer, whatever you want to call it, that comes with it. Bleeder screw on top. Caliper towards the back of the wheel. All this stuff is 9/16, and you can see so you got the bracket and then the caliper brackets inside that. That's important. If you try and put it on that side, caliper's not going to mount. If you don't use these spacers, caliper's not going to mount. It's quite a job. Put the pumpkin in, just use some RTV, red RTV. So the rear end's mocked up. Tomorrow I'm going to grind the calipers down to the wheels fit. I'm going to get the tires put on the wheels, tighten up the trailing arms, put the panhard bar, and maybe put the springs on. And once this thing has that, it'll be able to roll around. So that's it. It's got these spoon, however you pronounce it, tubular A-arms, which they are okay. I mean, they didn't fall in place like you would think. The bolts are too big, so you have to drill out the axle mount, and then you have to drill out the front trailing arm mount too to accommodate the bolts the hardware that it comes with. Or I guess you could reuse your old. On the banana bar, it mocked up just fine. So the rear end's in. Next, like I say, is wheels and tires. Get it on the ground so it can roll around. Gas line, shocks. That's pretty much it. So y'all stay tuned for more updates, and thanks for watching.